on, then. What? How about you? You're indeed brave tonight, but the fight is mine.
Oh, had enough, eh?
Look, you stupid...
Ranker
You've got the
ranks.
left.
Yes, I have.
Look!
Just a flesh wound.
What is up? Welcome into Adjust the Ranks, a part of the Double FU, the FU times 2, the fantasy football universe. I am Jeremy Schulman at FF_Rebel. We are joined by Ryan Prosick at RyanPros_FF, all on Twitter. Today, we're doing a Guillotine mock draft. It's just the two of us, so we're going to kind of work through a strange sort of ADP situation, but we will talk about all of that stuff. I'm also in a Guillotine league at the moment, so we'll flash that up and show you what we're working with so far. We'll talk you through some strategies. And of course, we will hope not to get chopped. That is the goal. Just a flesh wound does not count. Either you're in or you're out in the Guillotine League. So we'll hit all of that today. Ryan, how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going great. I mean, I've never tried a Guillotine League before, so this is new for me. I mean, they have that format on Underdog where you get dropped out once per week. But as for, a season-long league, it's new to me, so I'm excited to hop into it.
Yeah, and it's I think it's Paul Charchin, who's the the OG of the Guillotine Leagues, and he's got his own Chopped and the whole website thing going on as well, and help to kind of proliferate the format. So it's super interesting that we get to do this today, and we get to do it on Sleeper as well, which it's a fun format like you referenced. It's survive and move on. And so we'll take you through some of those guys who are going to help you to survive and move on today. And then, of course, in the last couple of weeks, as you're picking up guys off of the waiver wires, it's really to go big or go home. So we'll talk about all of that here today. I'm going to throw up that. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I mean, it's your draft's pretty important, but how you manage your FAAB in this format is probably the most important aspect, because you could dump it all right away, but then someone like a Nico Collins or a Brian Thomas become available in like week 5 or 6, and you're just going to get outbid. So
yeah. Well, let's talk about that. Let's say you get a Nico Collins, a Malik Neighbors, somebody who drafted a couple of top studs, but nothing else worked out in their lineup. In weeks 1 and 2, those guys all of a sudden hit the wire. Are you dropping a ton of your FAAB, 50, 60% for one of these studs, or are you more likely to just wait it out to see what happens further down the line?
See, that's the most interesting part of this league, this format, is because if you do that, you're probably guaranteed to make it pretty far, but those teams that kind of straggle through and don't spend the FAAB are probably going to get the upper hand on you later in the season, because they're going to be the ones with not having to spend as much of their budget on the big players because teams have already unloaded their budget. So I'd traditionally wait, but that can come back and bite you in the butt as well, because someone could spend money and you play them that week, or you don't play anyone, but you're the lowest score that week, and then you're out.
Yeah, it is really tough. Jamie is in here with, he wrote up an article, which I just read, which was very well done about Guillotine Leagues for the 420 crew. If you are in the YouTube chat, Jamie will drop that link for you. Jamie, drop the link so people can check it out. He was fried when he wrote it. You got to be. But look, we're just having fun all the time here. But yeah, this is a good point by Jamie, and it echoes the point that Ryan just made. Don't smoke your whole stash right away. Make sure that you are saving some for later on. Not published yet, but when it is, Jamie, maybe in the next couple of shows or 2, whenever it is, just drop it in the chat. Guillotine Leagues are crazy. JJ, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you here. We're going to try to explain it all. And we're going to start with this first. So here's what's going on. Let's see if I can do this seamlessly. I don't know. Boom,
while you do that, I want to talk about, I just like how these other formats of fantasy are getting so popular, like Guillotine and Chopped Leagues. They're the first to come in. I think Vampire is going to be next. Vampire is such a cool format. I love that. And then, there's people doing crazy stuff. I don't know if you saw in our one chat, the Marvel Infinity Stones League that they had a while ago, where you could activate
love
the
that.
Infinity Stones. Like, that's crazy. I don't know if that's ever going to make it mainstream, but I think Vampire is going to be next. So
yeah, gotta love the Vampire. Vampire, of course, you are able to steal from the team that you beat the previous week. So
But only
that
from their
gets very
starters.
interesting.
So
Yeah,
if you're
only
not the
right.
vampire, you could play strategically, bench your whole team, take a loss, and not lose anyone of significance. So it's very interesting. These fantasy leagues are getting more and more complex as time goes on, and I'm so happy with it. We're getting the mainstream.
I love it. I love it. And I agree with you. I wanted to throw this up here because this is what we're dealing with. You can see some of the guys left here just after 7 rounds because it's 18 teams, right? We're left with Mixon and Brian Robinson and Chris Godwin. We got Darnell Mooney and Ramondre. But here's a closer look. Let's get ourselves visible here of what happened. So I'm going at the 114 here in this mock draft coming up in a minute. I just want to show you where I am here, and we'll kind of talk through some of these guys and why I selected them, where I selected them. But again, keep in mind, we're 18 teams deep. So by the 3rd round, you're already 1 full round past ADP. So it gets very interesting, very quick in terms of how you're going to fill out your roster. So I started the 114 with Drake London. I would have preferred Ashton Genty probably, but love myself some Drake London. Brock Bowers was a consideration, but the thing about Drake London and the thing about these, particular guillotine leagues is you do not want to be booted in week 1, right? That's something that I experienced last year. Look, as a complete novice last year and really still, but learning the format as much as possible. I think I stacked Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, and Evan Ingram. And it wasn't on purpose, but at the same time, they were all values. People thought that they were going to stink last year. Guess what? They stunk last year. And I got booted in week 1 because the Jags absolutely got crushed. So I think the first rule here of guillotine leagues is be wary of stacking if you have a quarterback and a wide receiver and they just get absolutely trounced by a defense early on in one particular week. That's really going to limit your chances here. Even when we're talking about, like, let's say you could get Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and T. Higgins. That stack feels relatively safe with a relatively high floor. At the same time, stacking can be very precarious. If, the Bengals, I'm not exactly sure of their schedule, but if they go up against, a Denver Broncos, a Kansas City Chiefs, and they're just completely limited, or if Chase Brown decides to go off and you don't have him, that can be a real hindrance to you. So any other thoughts about stacking in this format, Ryan?
I mean, I would naturally avoid it. I mean, stacks are prevalent everywhere, but this is the format where I'd say let's shy away from it unless it's in a super elite offense. You're getting a Josh Allen with someone paired late, or a Lamar Jackson with a Zay Flowers later. But you don't want to use all your draft capital on one team because, like you said, you're perfectly correct. If they stink, you're done. So
yeah, 100%.
There's so many ways you could attack this format, and we'll talk about that more as we go on here.
Let me run through this particular draft that is ongoing right now. We're slow drafting this one, so we are in the 8th, and I'm a few picks away. So nothing that's going to get done on this live. But Drake London in the top plays Tampa, which isn't the greatest matchup, but still pretty decent. And then Minnesota, Carolina. So the first 3 weeks for Drake London, I think, is absolute smash city. He's going to be relatively healthy. Penix should be healthy. The line should be healthy. So I really love Drake London, and that was a reason why I went London over Bowers, because the first couple of weeks look really good. It's also a reason why I took Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy in week 1, I believe, plays Cincinnati. In fact, I know he plays Cincinnati. I'll look to stack him with Joe Flacco because I don't have a quarterback yet, probably much later. But of course, I'm not relying on Flacco for the entire season. And look, maybe Cincinnati can have like this miracle game in week 1. Weird things happen in week 1, right? So, but because we're a deep league, I'm not only going to take Joe Flacco. I'll probably take a second quarterback, and then I'll kind of make a decision as to who I play there. But Jerry Jeudy for me was another reason, that schedule there, that I chose him. And then Emeka Egbuka, fully healthy. Chris Godwin won't be there for week 1. We know that, even though he's been activated off the pup today. Jalen McMillan certainly won't be there for week 1, might not be there all season. So it's really just Emeka Egbuka and Cade Otton, another guy I'm looking to target as well later. But you can see by the 6th and 7th round, we're getting deep in the weeds here. And for this particular league, as we're doing today, it's 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex spots. So you really got to fill out your whole lineup as best you can. Thoughts about this kind of start here, and then or anything you really see just in terms of value or what you like right here.
Yeah. Apologize. I'm having a coughing fit. The allergies are getting bad, but
No worries.
I mean, Kenneth Walker is the one that really kind of concerns me with this injury issues ongoing. They kind of sit him a lot, and it's just, it feels like him and Zach Charbonnet are going to be in, a timeshare. It feels like that's where it's headed. I love Ibuka. I mean, dude just got the perfect run out all off season. He had 3 guys ahead of him. Mike Evans is, Father Time's going to get him eventually. Chris Godwin, going to rehab slowly back. Jalen McMillan's probably out for the whole season. That's why I got to go BPA in the actual NFL draft, because it worked out for Tampa for the better here.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you one thing. I like
Sure.
I like the start. Kenneth Walker is, the only iffy pick that I have here. I'm not a Tank Bigsby guy either, but that late, you can't have any complaints.
Yeah.
So if a team like in week 1 or 2, say a Jaden Daniels roster, a Jalen Hurts roster, a Joe Burrow roster, one of those, or, Allen or Lamar, get knocked out, with your current quarterback situation, are you going to try to dump a bunch of FAAB into that, or are you going to try to wait?
Here's the thing. And I'm just confirming. Oh, no, he's gone. Justin Fields went at the 7:16. So Justin Fields was who I was hoping would come back around to me. He's somebody who's going to be boom bust, but he'll have a safe floor. But I still have the options of JJ McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix. That's also stacking, so I have to be careful with that as well. At the same time, those guys aren't phenomenal options, but probably have safer floors than I would expect. I think I'll probably, like you said, go the safer route with FAAB the first couple of weeks. I don't want to be this guy that Jamie is referring to here. It's freshman year. Your buddy got paid, bought a whole ounce, and smoked it all by Tuesday. Now he's digging through the ashtrays for roaches. We definitely don't want to be doing that come week 14, 15 if we're still in it. So it's an interesting consideration, but I don't know if I'm going to drop 40 on Lamar, who, maybe he has a bad week 1 because he's not fully healthy, because he's nursing that foot. So I don't know. It's going to be tough, but I really need to work on, I need a quarterback soon. And then I also need to fortify my running back position. Like you were referencing, guys like Austin Eckler, Dylan Sampson, Braylon Allen are still there. So I really need a running back or 2. But dropping my whole FAAB, like you said, maybe, but maybe not.
See, but you'll get opportunities throughout the season to fortify running back and wide receiver. They're going to be dropped every week, almost guaranteed at this point. Quarterback and tight end as well is a little different with the top tier guys. So it's really interesting how you have to manage your FAAB in that aspect, because if the Brock Bowers team that we're looking at right here gets eliminated in week 1 because David Montgomery, Nick Chubb, don't do much, it's worth considering dropping a whole bunch of FAAB on Brock Bowers and having tight end 1 for the whole season. So it's really interesting how to play Guillotine. There's so many ways.
100%. And you can see a few other builds here right around. You got at the 112, Derrick Henry, Kyron, Isaiah Pacheco. You got at the 115, Brian Thomas, Chase Brown, Marvin Harrison. So you're really just taking those top guys and, relying on them. And the rest of your roster is just going to fluctuate throughout the course of the season. So that's enough of this league. Who cares? Let's get into the real deal here. As I don't know what I'm doing. All right, so we got our draft here fired up. It's just the 2 of us in here. Ryan, you're drafting at the 105. I'm at the 114. We are just full PPR guillotining. And of course, we are using, let me turn off my sound effects here. We are using the ADP. So it'll be slightly different than what you see. But ADP, if you're doing a home league, guillotine league with friends, this is pretty much what you're going to have. So Ryan, you're on the clock here. We've had Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb in full PPR. Who are you taking here?
I feel like I'm the Lions at 6 in that draft. I'm debating Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs. It's Bijan probably has a safer floor. He's probably going to be an RB1 every week he plays. And then you got to think about Jahmyr Gibbs, though. I'm going Bijan because, you don't want to get knocked out in the first week, and Jahmyr Gibbs likely won't either. But I'm just concerned about that offense a little bit with Ben Johnson leaving. Who knows how it's going to shake out? I mean, Gibbs is going to get a ton of the workload, and he's been flexing out as a wide receiver this offseason as well. So you can't go wrong with either of them. So it's an easy choice.
Yeah, I agree. Bijan, of course, playing Tampa in week 1 as well. Gibbs against Green Bay. So I think the Green Bay is the slightly tougher matchup there. Bijan has the opportunity to catch passes. So you do not want to be knocked out in week 1, which is the decision I'm facing here, because I take Christian McCaffrey playing Seattle? Not a fearsome defense. Not scared of this. It's a really tough decision. Achane, we know we're a little worried about his availability because of his health. Drake London, who I mentioned, but I will go CMC against Seattle, New Orleans, Arizona, tougher defense, and then Jacksonville. So I really like that run out in the first month of the season for CMC. He should be healthy.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to get knocked out in the first couple of weeks if he's playing, because he's going to get that workload, because Kyle Shanahan loves to do that. And you'll have time to bolster your RB corps as well, because teams are going to get knocked out. And you don't want to spend too much FAAB, but those RB2, RB3 guys, you might want to pick up one of those in the first couple of weeks of McCaffrey, just in case, some security.
Absolutely. And of course, I cannot, in good conscience, not take Trey McBride here. Bowers went before me, but Trey McBride and his schedule is very sweet as well in the first few weeks. Remember, the goal in the first few weeks is just stay alive. New Orleans, Carolina, week 1, week 2, San Francisco, okay, and then Seattle, Tennessee, Indy. So he's got a great run out. In fact, the Arizona schedule is one of the best in the league for those players. So don't be afraid to grab Arizona Cardinals, especially in a format like this.
Definitely. I have a tough call here. I know I do this a lot when I come on the show, but especially here, I want to prioritize getting a high upside guy at tight end or quarterback. I'm deciding between Jalen Hurts and George Kittle. They're both likely going to be gone on my next turn, but I'm going to take George Kittle and just hope something happens, falls later. Maybe a Joe Burrow coming around as, I didn't get lucky. I got sniped. So it's kind of a risk reward decision, because now I'm going to have to wait on quarterback, because that top tier is gone with 18 teams. It just gets really thin really quick, but I'm happy with George Kittle because you're locking in top 3 tight end upside every week of the season. So
yep,
you got to prioritize. You got to prioritize at least one of these positions, I feel like. And then next, this is a tough call. Rashee Rice is sitting right there, and it's the whole big. Does he get suspended? What happens? You have a Marion Hampton here, Kenneth Walker. I think I'm going to go Rashee Rice, and I'm going to risk it. He's going to play the first couple weeks of the season. If he gets suspended, you'll have time to add to your team by then. And, if it comes out of nowhere, like Jamie said, hold your FAAB, and then you can emergency dump it on some high-end player that gets cut that week.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The problem I have is the first few weeks, he's got the Chargers, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Ravens. So 2 of those 4 games are really tough in the Eagles and Ravens defenses. And then he may get suspended for Jacksonville, Detroit, Vegas, those next 3 games if he gets suspended after week 4. So that would be a travesty.
It's a risk for sure, but I think it's more likely you could take the risk because you could add guys throughout the season. So it's more likely that if a suspension gets sprung on you, you could just add someone new.
Yeah. I did it. Pick. I reached like an animal on Travion Henderson. If you look at the board, we just talked about Kenneth Walker and especially the news coming out yesterday or last night or today that Zach Charbonnet is probably going to be a lot more involved initially. And then, of course, the contingent upside. This is what many people believed, but Ken Walker is just so good I don't want to let go of him. But now I'm thinking, well, maybe the safety of Trevion Henderson just being on the field all the time in that offensive scheme. And then, of course, playing Las Vegas, Miami, Pittsburgh, Carolina, the first month of the season. The schedule's phenomenal as well. I don't mind the tiebreaker coming down to schedule, and that's really what I'm looking at in these guillotine leagues.
Yeah, schedule is even more important than it is in normal leagues because we've stressed it enough here. You don't want to get dropped right away. It's no fun. You want to experience the guillotine league, not 1 week my team's gone.
Yeah, this was a really tough pick for me of Jameson Williams. It's usually not a tough pick for me. It's usually a smash. The problem is you got George Pickens there who looks good, but Ted McMillan's schedule is so sweet. Ted McMillan was the guy I was considering there. Jacksonville, Arizona, Atlanta the first 3 weeks, New England, Miami, Dallas. So, 4 of those 6 games are really nice, including the first and third for Ted McMillan. The problem is, and the reason I went JMO over him is maybe he just doesn't get the complete package in the first couple of weeks. Often you see the explosion second half of the rookie season, but he went right before your pick. So who are you picking, Ryan?
I'm picking Jalen Waddle. I think
Nice.
There might be a chance that Tyreek Hill is kind of, Father Time might have caught up to him a little bit. I know it's a wrist injury, so it's not really fair to say. But if Jalen Waddle gets the lion's share of targets with Jonnu Smith gone, he's absolutely going to smash in a 4th-round ADP. I mean, it's even later because we're doing 18 teams. So, I mean, he is a little banged up now, but it's kept his ADP down. And that's all you could want. It's a risk, but you're not taking too much in capital on it. And if he hits his upside, I mean, the metrics have been there. Yards per run have been great the past couple seasons. Just Tua got hurt, struggled last year. The whole offense outside of Achane struggled. So I'm willing to take the bet on Jalen Waddle.
Love it.
And then I'm going to double down. And running back always gets quick, but I'm going to take Tony Pollard. Tyjae Spears is hurt. He's going to miss the first couple of weeks. You want that runway, like you said, with guillotine leagues, and Tony Pollard has the perfect runway.
Let's just show what is shaping up here on your roster. You got Bijan, Pollard, Rashi, Waddle, and Kittle. I like that start. Of course, you're going to have to replace Rashi's value, but he's more or less, the NFL has basically said they're not going to do anything. That's kind of, it seems like people are walking that back in the media a little bit, but it really seems like he's here to stay for those first 4 games, no matter what. So it's all looking good for Rashee Rice, and then you can replace him later. So I really like the way that you started there. You see Stephon Diggs, Jacoby Myers, and Deebo Samuel go right before my pick. That's unfortunate because I would have loved to have Steph Diggs. I really want to fill that wide receiver 2 role, and I'm not really looking at guys that I love.
I mean, looking at the board, I'd probably...
Here it is.
I didn't see him.
That's my pick.
I didn't see him, so I was
right.
I was looking at Matthew Golden, but Ibuka is higher. So
yeah, I was looking at Golden as well, and I think he's still there. He is still there, so I think I'm going to take him here. I assumed he could last. He did last. The only question I have is maybe Kyler Murray. Of course, that does stack me up, although the stack is a little safer against New Orleans, Carolina, San Francisco, Seattle. Of course, I'd have to, if I do that with a stack, I probably want to fortify a little bit earlier at quarterback than I normally would. But yeah, I'm not going to go for the stack. And instead, I'm going to take who you were talking about just a second ago, Matthew Golden. I had an interesting argument here with some people. You see the name there at the 512, Jacoby Myers. And you see the guys who go around him, Steph Diggs, Emeka Egbuka, Ricky Pearsall, Matthew Golden. I don't want anything to do with Jacoby Myers where he's currently going in drafts. I just don't see an upside compared to those other names that I've referenced. He's a wide receiver 2. He's going to be a wide receiver 2. I get it. Chip Kelly offense, Geno Smith, upgrades all over the place. Defense isn't great still. I can't click Jacoby Myers when those other guys are still on the board. I'm avoiding it.
That's fair. I mean, the upside just isn't there in this offense. It's going to be a little too crowded for me, honestly. But you were talking about the stack, and I have the stack staring me in the face right now with Brock Purdy and George Kittle. I might not do it because actually I'm not going to do it because
It's hard.
Josh Downs is sitting right there. New quarterback with Danny Dimes. He's going to pepper underneath. And I just think Josh Downs is absolutely going to eat in this offense. The Colts made the wrong call. Don't get me wrong. But Josh Downs and Tyler Warden are going to be the primary beneficiaries of Daniel Jones starting. So I'm all in on that.
Yeah, 10 degree in Miami week 1. So you're absolutely going to smash in week 1. Tennessee week 3, you're fine. Vegas in week 5. So it's looking pretty good to start other than Denver in week 2. Who else did you take here in the, 7th round here?
7th round. I'm with Austin Eckler.
Like
He's not getting enough buzz. Honestly.
It's fair.
Chris Rodriguez is getting a ton of buzz. Bill Krosky, Merritt's getting a ton of buzz. But Austin Eckler is still there, and Brian Robinson's on his way out. Full PPR. Austin Eckler's going to play a lot. He looked good 100%. Outside of the high ankle sprain that kind of hampered his whole season. But when he started to get healthy, he looked really good in the backfield. So I'll take my chances in the 7th with Austin Eckler.
Yep, I'm not going to fight you on that one at all. I'm going to take my guy who you were out on. Tank Bigsby, just for me, is such a safe bet in this format and a better offense. Gets Carolina Cincy in his first 2 weeks as well. And when everybody's healthy, look, ETN's going to catch the passes 100%, and we're in a full PPR league at the same time. Bashal Tutin will push at some point. I don't think it's early. Tank Bigsby, if fully healthy, is going to get plenty of touches. In fact, at the end of last season, just to look at his touch count, it was from week 14, it was 20, 12, 13, 12, 15 touches. 1 or 2 in the passing game, getting those runs on the ground, and scored a touchdown in 3 of those 5 games. So I'm happy with the floor of what I perceive Bigsby to be in a better offense, and he's got a great schedule to start. And here, with about 13 seconds left, I think I'm going to do it because he's still on the board.
But I think it is.
Yeah, it's Justin Fields. Justin Fields, for me, is just super safe floor with the rushing upside. I know he could absolutely implode a week here or a week there, but look, I think it's pretty clear that if healthy, he's going to play. He has some decent weapons, and he gets Pittsburgh in week 1. You don't think Justin Fields is going to be motivated to show Pittsburgh that he was, unduly let go and not kept along to kind of be their long-term guy, even when he played fairly decently, especially in terms of his passing the football as well. I think he's going to be extra motivated. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Tampa, Miami. So weeks 3 and 4 as well should be Fields crushing, and hopefully he's still healthy.
I think I'm going to double up on quarterback here. I think I'm going to take those 2 very favorable starts to the season. I mean, Bryce Young comes out against Jacksonville, Arizona, Atlanta, New England, Miami in week 5. Like, Bryce Young has the runway.
He does.
I think he's going to be a quarterback 1 this season. And then Michael Penix, I think it's insurance just in case Bryce Young doesn't go off of these great matchups he's an easy schedule as well. So 100%. Maybe I'll regret doubling up on quarterback here, but now I won't have to spend for one when one of these guys gets dropped, unless it's a Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen kind of quarterback.
That's fair, and you can play the matchups, and you have that safe floor even when you took QB late. I love that. The guy staring me in the face, Ryan, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
He's right there at the top of the board. How can you neglect Bill? Right now, Bill is billed as the starter, but you see he's just here sitting on my bench. I have the luxury because he did not go so high. Now he's been going higher in drafts these days. He probably should be gone a round or even 2 rounds, depending on how bullish people are getting on Bill. But Corey Krosky Merritt is going to be my guy there, and he'll sit on my bench and hopefully offer me some flex upside. And then if he is still here, Keenan Allen. Did Keenan Allen go?
I don't see him. I don't see him gone. I think he's still there. He's still hiding.
He is hiding. No, he was drafted.
Really?
He was drafted. Yeah. doesn't say where, but that's now I got 20 seconds.
Oh, he's team one. Team one at the end.
So Mason Taylor is an option. Harold Fanning Jr. is an option. DeAndre Hopkins. I'm going to go Pop Douglas. I'm going to go safety here as opposed to upside. Somebody I can plug in and just get a nice safe floor with and potentially a touchdown. But, I think in PPR, he's got a safe 10-point floor weekly in a flex spot in a pinch. I like it.
I like the pick as well. I mean, Drake May's got to throw to somebody, right?
He does.
I'm going to go with an interesting handcuff. I'm going to go with Ollie Gordon. Devaughn Achan's banged up. Jalen Wright has had an awful preseason, and Ollie Gordon's looked pretty decent. So I think there's a chance he wins the backup job, has an excellent college profile with all those yards at Oklahoma State. He was an absolute stud. So I'm going to take a chance here and see if it pans out with Ollie Gordon.
I dig it. Absolutely. And who are you picking here in the last round of this mock?
That's a tough one. I'm scrolling around. I'm going to get the stack. I think he's a great football player, and I think it's going to be hard not for him to see the field. I'm going to go Jalen Coker. I mean, he's going to be the second option, it feels like, unless Adam Thielen continues to age like he has been, which don't put that out of consideration. He could. But Xavier Legette fought somebody in that preseason. I forget which defender it was. Jalen Coker subbed in his absence, scored a touchdown. You don't think the coaching staff likes that? Feels like some security. Yeah. I'm not sold on Xavier Legette. I think Jalen Coker is going to be the number 2 in Carolina. So give me Jalen Coker with Bryce Young as a stack.
I dig it. Absolutely. I'm looking at quarterback here. I have Justin Fields. Like I said, he's got a good early season schedule, but if he goes down, Daniel Jones has a really good early season schedule, but I think I'll play it safe and I'll go Joe Flacco here. Flacco, like I said, plays Cincy in week 1. It's a little bit scary because I do I have the stack here? Oh, I don't have the stack, so I'm not so worried. Yeah, so I'm not so worried about Flacco in that case. I will play him against Cincy. Absolute garbage defense. So I have no concerns there. And then I can't go 3 quarterbacks this early, so I have to just take the upside shot on... the schedule sucks. I was looking at Miles Sanders. I probably won't. I'm going to want somebody who's going to play and potentially could give me a nice floor. I think I found him. Yeah, why not? We're going to take the shot on Calvin Austin. Is he a junior? I don't know. We're going to take the shot on Calvin Austin. This late in drafts, there's just not a lot out there. And I think Calvin Austin has a safe-ish PPR floor if Aaron Rodgers makes him, one of his preferred targets.
I like the pick a lot. And I'm going to go with another. I think handcuffs at this point are, great to draft, especially rookies. There's a ton of them at the top of the board. You have Taj Brooks, who's probably going to be the backup to Chase Brown if something happens to him. He's going to catch a lot of passes. Jarquez Hunter, I'm kind of out on because Kyron Williams got that deal we didn't see coming. Then you have Brashad Smith and Devin Neal. Yeah, I'm between the last two. Brashad Smith, Isaiah Pacheco, he still could be recovering from that injury. A lot of media people don't really like Pacheco. And then you have Alvin Kamara, who's getting older, with Devin Neal. I like Devin Neal's tape a little better, so I'm going to go with Devin Neal. But in full PPR, Brashad Smith could catch a ton of passes and, prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, perfectly fair. And you see Taj, Jarquez, and Brashad Smith all go to finish out the draft. So here is the board, Ryan. Let's talk about our teams first. Actually, before we do, we have a question. So this is Alex Flores. Alex, I assume you are talking full PPR. I won't hide Ryan's face for too long, but the question is Saquon or CeeDee in full PPR here at the 103. This is full PPR. Who are you taking? Are you taking Saquon Barkley, your guy, big Philadelphia Eagles fan here, Ryan Prosick, or are you taking CeeDee Lamb?
You're making me pick between an Eagle and a Cowboy. I don't like this, man. So the way these drafts are playing out, if you could scroll up real quick,
I'm not all the way up. 1 second. There we go.
Just so I can look at the board and visualize. Obviously you're gonna have to move some guys up a little bit, but I think CeeDee Lamb is the play here, especially if you get a guy like Jonathan Taylor or Chase Brown at the end of the second. I think it's way better upside in team management. You look at the end of the second wide receiver guys. AJ Brown typically doesn't make it, and he's kind of dealing with an injury. I prefer Chase Brown, Jonathan Taylor over that Lad McConkey tier. So I think it's CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to crush. I think they're both great picks. Don't get me wrong. You want to be in that top 5 this offseason, it feels like.
Yep.
But give me a CeeDee Lamb over Saquon Barkley just because, I mean, Micah Parsons is probably coming back, but if he doesn't, that defense is going to be so bad. And Phillies is great, and, Saquon's going to pad some leads, but I think it's CeeDee. They're going to have to throw 50 times a game.
100% with you on CeeDee Lamb. He is my redraft 103 in all formats between him and Jamar Chase. I do not care if it's half PPR. I want both of those guys. And you mentioned the top 5. The top 5 for me, and I think you agree, is Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, in any order you like it. If you are sneaking Justin Jefferson into that top 5, don't get me wrong, he's the 106. But if you're sneaking Justin Jefferson into the top 5, I think you're doing it wrong. Is that the same top 5 for you?
Yeah, I have them in an order. I have to look, but I think it's Chase, Robinson, Gibbs, Lamb, Barkley. Barkley's 5th. Yeah. You could switch 3 and 4.
Yep. And I think I'm Chase, Robinson, Lamb, Gibbs, Barkley. So yeah, we're lockstep there. And between Gibbs and CeeDee, I think that's really. Say again.
That's team structure. That's all team structure with what 100%. Way you want to go. I don't hate either of them. If David Montgomery goes down, you're probably going to want Jahmyr Gibbs, but
fair. Thanks for the question, Alex. Any other questions, drop in the chat. Right now, we are going to go through our teams briefly here. So Ryan, let me pull up your squad here on the board just so we can all see how it shook out. Why don't you run through it and tell us how you feel about it?
I feel way better than myself, giving myself 2 Bs in the last 2 episodes. I feel way better with this team. I didn't fully neglect running back.
Nice.
I'm going to give myself, I think it's an A- to A draft. I think you lock in one of the positions with the high end upside of tight end. You're going to want those points. And also, you're not going to have to drop FAAB on a Brock Bowers or a Trey McBride if those teams get eliminated as well. I mean, someone's going to drop 40-50% of their FAAB if McBride or Bowers goes out early.
100%.
You don't have to do that. You could just save your FAAB and watch other people burn through it. And then you have Bijan, who's obviously a stud. I don't think I need to mention him much. Rashid Rice, Jalen Waddle, 2 high upside guys. Rashid Rice's schedule is a lot harder, but if he's around the whole season, it's a value pick at the end of the third. It's remaining to be seen, but that mid-season, if you make it there, it's very easy. Tony Pollard without Tajay Spears, I love that pick. Tajay Spears is going to be out for the first 2-3 weeks. He will eat into the work when he gets back, but having those first 2-3 weeks, a secure RB2 with potential RB1 finishes, you take that every day of the week, especially in round 5. Josh
hang
Jones.
On. Let's stick with Pollard for a second because I'm going to throw a little wrench in it here.
The schedule get magically healthy?
No, the Tony Pollard schedule. Denver,
I know. Denver,
Los Angeles Rams, Indy. So, okay. Although the only thing Indy has is a good front. Houston, and then Arizona is the first 5.
It's rough.
Vegas, New England, and then Indy again. So if Indy can stop the run and nothing else, it's just kind of brutal for Tony Pollard's schedule.
I was going across that thinking I knew they had Denver week 1. I knew they had a tough matchup week 2. Do they really want to throw Cam Ward to the Wolves?
Yeah, probably
Tony
not.
Pollard's going to get 20-25 touches. It remains to be seen what he's going to do with them. But he's gonna get the workload, and that was my thought process there. You see guys go after him. Quinshon Judkins, he's even bigger uncertainty. I'll take the guy that's going to get the volume, guaranteed.
Yeah, and that offensive line is good, and they refortified it over the offseason. That's one of their major pushes in Tennessee. So this team will be better.
About that contract, I still can't believe that. After my Steelers, I have a bunch of friends who are Steelers fans. Obviously, I'm in the state, but they couldn't believe when Dan Moore got that contract. They were complaining about him all season. I have a group chat with them. They're like, "Oh, Dan Moore let up another instant pressure." I'm like, "Oh, I guess this Dan Moore guy is not great." And then you see him get a $90 million contract in free agency. It was eye opening.
Yeah, Well, Dan Moore aside, it's still a good offensive
It's
line.
it's still good. A lot of high draft capital on that Skaronski, J.C. Latham. So Callahan will turn them around.
We'll see. Sorry to interrupt you. Run through the rest of your guys here.
No, you're good. Josh Downs, obviously PPR monster. He's a great football player. There are kind of concerns about him with Anthony Richardson. That's not going to happen now. Like I said, I think it's the wrong choice for the Colts personally, but who knows what they're thinking is. We saw Wandale get absolutely peppered. I know Daniel Jones, didn't do much last season, but Wandale Robinson's target monster. I think Josh Downs can play that role perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson's on his way out. I don't think I need to mention much more than that.
Nope.
And then the two quarterbacks, good early season schedules for both of them. You could play the matchups. You could play who's hot, who's cold. And then you have Ollie Gordon and Jalen Coker, who are two upside shots that I feel pretty good about. I think Ollie Gordon could get that role. I mean, Jalen Wright, I believe he got stuffed 3 straight times on the goal line during this preseason. I could be wrong, but I think it was
He's
him.
hurt. He's hurt.
So Ollie Gordon is going to run away with that RB2 job. And Devaughn A-Chain, he's hurt right now. The concern isn't that great for him, but with his frame, that was the big knock on him coming out, was his frame. And it's kind of not holding up great through this offseason, but it held up last offseason because he bulked up. So we'll see what happens with that. And then Coker, I think, is the wide receiver too in Carolina.
Yeah. I disagree with that. They still have Adam Thielen for now. Hunter Renfrow has been getting buzz. But if Thielen is traded, it could absolutely be Coker over Renfrow over Leggett. He did look great.
He was going to get cut. He was a cut candidate like a month ago. Coker was. I was reading.
Really?
And then he turned around and he was having a rough camp, and then he turned it around and had that preseason showing in Legett's absence. So he went from on the bubble to roster lock. So
love it. Well, look, we know there's also going to be the wire, the real NFL waiver wire is going to be flooded with talent here in a couple of days. And that's why you're seeing all these trade rumors, because, teams might want to get out ahead of that. We've already had Skyy Moore go to San Francisco for like a 6-7 pick swap. These are the type of deals you're going to get. Although surprisingly, what was it? A 4th and a 7th for Devaughn Vele to the Saints. I don't want anything to do with any of these guys.
No, it's the preseason trade hype. I mean, none of these guys are going to carve out real roles. I mean, Devaughn Vele has a chance now, I guess, because that's a pretty nice return for a guy who's, a 26-year-old rookie?
Yep.
So maybe something comes to that, but I don't think you're going to see much out of terms of these guys getting roles. So I don't want anything to do with any of these guys either. If there's any interest in your league after these trades, sure, trade them away. Take the random 4th, take the random 3rd if you could somehow get a random 3rd. But take the picks. You'll probably be better off.
And also, what the hell are the Saints doing? I don't know. I don't know why you burn a 4th round pick on a 27-year-old year 2 wide receiver, but here we are. New Orleans Saints continue to think that they are competing every year. It's a problem, but at least it keeps Dennis Allen employed. So it's good for the Allen family, I guess. Let's move on to my team here.
I think Dennis Allen got replaced.
Did he? Oh yeah.
Kellen Moore's there now.
Oh, Kellen Moore. Correct. Thank God. It just feels like
Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier is going to be the quarterback for the Saints next year, whether you like it or not. Because his dad's the QB coach in New Orleans. He took him from Philly with Kellen Moore. So
still very worried about Kellen Moore and his youthful inexperience at the head coaching position. We'll see how it translates, but they have no quarterback. So like you said, we're going to have to wait till 2026. Why are we trading for Devaughn Vele right now? I don't know what we're doing.
Beats me. I mean, there were reports from beat writers saying he was a roster lock and he was going to get some playing time on Denver, but you can't turn down 2 day 3 picks for a guy that's probably not going to crack the starting rotation. So I get it, but
I dig it. Here's my lineup here. I had Christian McCaffrey at the 114. Great value on him, but of course the concern of injury, not necessarily something that you want to bank on with your first round pick. at the same time, the value is good and he's currently healthy. So wheels up. Trey McBride in the second round, Travion Henderson in the third round, which is really like the middle, and that's a back end of the third. So it's almost like a late fourth in a 12-team league. I think actually it might be a mid to late fifth. So I love the value there on him. We talked about the difference between him and Kenneth Walker and just the concern coming out in the last day or so about Zach Charbonnet and that he may be eating in more to Kenneth Walker's touches when both are healthy. Jamison Williams, he's been a smash of mine, although Tet McMillan was a consideration for me there at the 4, simply because of his early season schedule. But give me the certainty of a non-rookie there in the first few weeks. Mecca Gbuka at the 5. Golden, there's a rookie in the first few weeks, but he's got a wide open path. Another rookie, Matthew Golden. I'll take the upside shot there. Tank Bigsby, Justin Fields. Bill fell to me in the 9th round. Love that value. That's not going to happen in your draft, so just keep that in mind. Pop, Flacco, and Calvin Austin. So I'm happy with this draft as well. I'll give it a B+, A- range. Got my 2 running back studs here, as you can see. Happy enough with my wide receivers. Got a stud tight end, so we are ready to roll. Hopefully, we last a few times. Jamie usually drops some news. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we just talked about this, Jamie. We know that Jalen Wright is suffering. It's Ollie Gordon or bust right now in that backfield. He finished up practice and took pretty much all of the reps in that joint practice. Jalen Wright, we'll see what happens with that injury. But, people didn't love the look of it. I would say at minimum, we're talking about a week or 2. That means we're getting up into the ramp up of the season. And again, that's an at minimum sort of situation. So it's really just Ollie Gordon here.
Yeah, it's Ollie Gordon or bust season. You're right. I think he went a little later than he should have because the running back class was just so loaded with talent. I think he could establish himself in a role in Miami as, the between the tackles guy that they don't want to give A-Chain that work, which they shouldn't want to give A-Chain that work. So I think Ollie Gordon's going to get a couple touches per game, and who knows what happens beyond that. And if he gets the goal line work, he could be, a low-end flex play. So,
yeah, totally agree. Let's wrap it up with this. I'm going to challenge you. We've talked plenty about the quarterbacks and the tight ends, so we'll leave them out of this. I'll go first here. Let's start with a running back since we've been on running backs. Just take a look at the board and give us a value anywhere on the board that you really like at the running back position. I will start and I will say Trey Benson. I'm going to continue to say Trey Benson all offseason long. He went here in the 8th round at the 807, which really you're adding 2.5-ish rounds to that. So he's going in the 11th, 12th round still in a typical 12-team league. I love that value on Trey Benson. Arizona, like we talked about at the top, is one of the easiest schedules across the board for any team if you believe in strength of schedule, which, look, is a tiebreaker, I think. So I really like Trey Benson. And, of course, we know that he's going to have some involvement right away. And then, of course, that contingent upside if James Conner goes down with injury. So Trey Benson there in the 8th round of an 18-teamer. Give me that value all day. How about you at running back?
I'm going to go Isaac Guerendo. I mean, we know the injury issues with McCaffrey. Guerendo, I was just looking at the combine the other day. He absolutely smashed. I didn't know he did that good. I knew he did great, but
yeah,
he was like a 99th percentile speed score and everything. So he's the perfect backup running back. We've seen his flashes already when he's had to have the starting role. He's scored twice in a game already. I mean, Kyle Shanahan's not going to give him a role unless Christian McCaffrey goes down because that's just who Kyle Shanahan is. But he's the perfect handcuff because if something were to happen to McCaffrey, you're insta-locking in 18 and 20 points a game with Guerendo most weeks.
Yep, 100%. Hard to argue with that. And, of course, he is healthy and back now at practice, so that's something to consider. And in this format, Seattle, New Orleans, Arizona, Jacksonville at the top has a nice schedule all along the way. And was he also in the same class as Isaiah Davis? I'm trying to remember that combine. I believe he was. And so I believe it was those two guys specifically who stood out to me at that combine, just their athleticism kind of coming out of almost nowhere to me, for someone who doesn't watch college football. Just seeing them at the combine absolutely pop. And like you said, he's a freak athlete. So I love that. Let's get into the last question, and then we'll answer Jamie's questions here in just a second. Let's do the same thing here, Ryan, but let's look at a wide receiver on the board who the value you like, especially in one of these guillotine leagues where you don't want to find yourself on the outs. I really like Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy at the end of the fourth round, the 418. So that's really an extra, 1.5 rounds of value. That means he's kind of going in the 6-7 range. You see that a lot in 12 teamers as well for Jerry Jeudy. And look, we mentioned number one, he plays Cincinnati, right? So Cincinnati week 1, that's a huge bump to his value. He's also got Joe Flacco locked in for week 1. So he's going to give you a good performance. There's no way Cincinnati can cover Jerry Jeudy. It's not going to happen. So I really like Jerry Jeudy in this particular format. At the end of the fourth, I think it's great. I think I got him in the 5th in my other draft. Let's see if we can just chuck it up right here. Oh, no, it was the 4th. It was the 414. So he's kind of going there in these drafts anyway, in that range. And I just think Jerry Jeudy week 1 can't be stopped. He's got Joe Flacco. And then, of course, if you look at the rest of his schedule, Baltimore, not great. Green Bay, Detroit, okay. Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Miami. All right. So it's a decent schedule. It's not great, but Cincinnati week 1, I think Jerry Jeudy is going to be just fine. And then you'll be able to add pieces.
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore wasn't really that good at defending the pass. They registered a lot of fantasy points against, and Baltimore does have trouble with Cleveland. I think they beat him last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'll look into that, but it's so funny because I was looking at the same team. I have Cedric Tillman all the way down there in, I believe that's the 10th round.
Okay.
I mean, with Joe Flacco being named the starter, it gives me a lot more confidence. Fair. And the concussion really ruined his season last year down the stretch. But there was a 3-game stretch where he had wide receiver 1 finishes in every week with Jameis Winston. Of course, it's easy with Jameis Winston. He's just chucking the ball over the place. But Joe Flacco is going to be kind of the same. We've seen him be great for wide receiver values as well. So I think Cedric Tillman's that guy. Jerry Jeudy's a great shout as well. I think the passing offense should be bumped up a little bit. It's not going to be a great offense, but there's going to be targets going around, and they're mainly going to go to Cedric Tillman and Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah, and Tillman there at the 10:01. Also, just in case you haven't heard, there are rumors of, it's nothing substantial, and it's nothing that's coming out from NFL insiders. But a thought process is because Harold Fannin has been so good, and they absolutely love him, that David Njoku could be a guy who gets traded. Obviously, if that happens, Fannon's not going to see the workload that Njoku commands. If that actually happens, you get a bump to both of these wide receivers, especially with Joe Flacco. I think the Browns keep Njoku, but if that kind of comes to fruition, based on just kind of the tea leaves that are out there, that are, it's nothing substantial at all in terms of any reports. But if that happens, I think that would be phenomenal for these two wideouts.
Yeah, it could take a turn though if Shador is named the starter and doesn't go well, or Dylan Gabriel gets named the starter. Kenny Pickett. True. If they make a change, it could turn for the worse. But right now, Joe Flacco, you could lock in that early upside and insane amount of targets because they're gonna be throwing the ball a lot against Cincinnati. So week 1's at least a good one, and Baltimore, they're probably going to be behind in week 2 as well. So these guys get a lot of targets.
Absolutely. Jamie is a huge Cedric Tillman fan. Was very happy to see Cedric Tillman as the cover of our mock on the August 19th because he's number 19. You'd be surprised how few number 19s and number 21s there are who are relevant fantasy guys. Today's the 21st. Had to be Nick Chubb
nice.
in Houston. There. Let's go here. Roschon or Jalen Wright? This is definitely a trick question, but pick one in best ball.
Roschon, I guess, but Common guys are going to run away with that job. They're both RB3s, so
I'll go Roschon as well.
I'll take a random 4th for either.
Yeah. Trick question is Woody Marks. This is the correct answer. Go ahead and get you some Woody Marks. Joe Mixon may never return. I don't. It's hyperbole, but it isn't, right? It's a little scary. It's a little scary.
Very grim. the outlook from what we've been hearing.
And where was he taken in this draft? I know we're going ADP, but
was
he was
very
taken
early.
at the 4th round, 4-8 for Joe Mixon, ahead of Pacheco, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, RJ Harvey. So he's fallen a little bit, and he's still far too high. So Joe Mixon, absolutely not. Let's get out of that. Kyle, I see your question. We'll get to it in 2 seconds here. Also, Harold Fennell's mom, who we were just talking about, was at the Fantasy Football Expo. Lots of people got to talk to her. So that was a very cool thing for everybody. So I know that they appreciated that. Jamie referenced that in the chat, but I'm not going to put that up on the screen. So you've seen all of this. This is the board. This is our look at guillotine leagues. Of course, be wary of stacking. That's really my number one tip. It's what forced me out very early in the first round last year, relying on the Jag stack. Number 2, check that early season schedule. Number 3, make sure you get a couple of guys who have safe floors, because those high ceilings often lead to boom bust. So just be careful to kind of mix and match your roster. I'm a little nervous, for example, with Christian McCaffrey, Jameson Williams, Matthew Golden, all within my first 6 picks. That's a little scary to me. Also, Travion Henderson could be a boom bust guy. We'll see the utilization. So that's a little scary, but make sure that you have some floor guys. And then, of course, just, be wary of injury, be wary of suspension. Everybody's pushing Devaughn Achane down the board a little bit, like you mentioned. At the same time, it's a soft tissue thing with a calf. Is he going to be, is this more precautionary because these calf injuries have been leading to Achilles tears, or is it a situation where, he just can't get on the field week 1. We hope that's not the case. He's super explosive, but yeah, he's someone who's hurt. Went at the 115 in this mock draft, but that's a concern as well. Any tips for you, maybe more about the FAAB stuff or anything else in a guillotine league?
I mean, spend wisely. That's all you have to say, because like Jamie said, if you spend it all too early, you're going to be caught late and you're going to get outbid pretty easily. I know my friend was talking in a guillotine league last year how to manage his waivers, and he had a lot of money there at the end, and he almost won. The team just got a ceiling performance. I think it was like out of Josh Allen against the Lions or something, and it knocked him out. So you just gotta be careful. Try to budget well. Don't be afraid to take these, weekly flex shots, such as a David Montgomery, low RB2 guys. Don't be afraid to bid 100%. On them, but don't overbid if you're on waivers. But keep an eye on these high end roster guys. Say I'll take a late rookie, for example, go like Luther Burden. If he gets a couple targets in week 1 or week 2 and that team gets cut, maybe try to acquire him for a little FAAB. Stuff like that you just want to look out for, especially rookies. They progress as the season goes on. So,
yep. I love that one. And then another one is just kind of grabbing guys for cheap off the wire. Wait for your wire to run or bid $0 on a couple of guys. And if you end up with them because they have a good schedule in a week or 2, you can grab them early. And especially if things happen like injury or whatever, they have a great game, then you're ahead of the game there. That's kind of just a standard one for all of your leagues. And then finally, we have this question, Ryan, from Kyle. Kyle, thanks for waiting. No need to forgive you, but a decision to make between Josh Allen and Derrick Henry. Henry in the 1st and Allen in the 3rd. So this has got to be a keeper. He drafts 10th. So he's keeping Henry, I assume, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, for the 110, or you're keeping Josh Allen for the 310, half PPR, 12-man. What are you doing here?
You're keeping Josh Allen. I don't care if it's 4-point touchdown, 6-point touchdown. He's probably going to finish as QB1 or QB2 again up there with Lamar. And I don't like keeping guys for first-round picks, especially if they're not, like we've been talking about the top 5 a ton here in these past couple of shows. That's when I consider using a first-round pick on one of these guys, like a Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver, running back 1 upside. Derrick Henry, Father Time could get him this season. I know it's very impossible because he's a robot, but it's just if it doesn't pan out, you're stuck using the 110 on a guy who's going to give you RB2 finishes, and your season's probably over. So I think it's Josh Allen. I think he's a safer pick, and he still has the same upside.
I agree. And the other consideration is who you're getting at 110 versus who you're giving up. Derrick Henry, he's probably not going to fall to the 110.5 PPR, right? Because he's going in the 108-ish to 110 range anyway. But then you add in keepers, and then he's going to go in the top 4, top 5 picks. And so you're not going to get Henry back at the 110. At the same time, you're going to have the option to, get a guy who's a tier down or two. So maybe, it's half PPR, but Amari and Hampton will be available there. Kyron Williams, if he's not kept, could be available there. You could get a guy like Jonathan Taylor, perhaps, or even a Bucky available there. I like those options very close to Derrick Henry. You're not going to be able to replace him necessarily, but you still get Josh Allen. You still get your first round pick. So I think that's what you are saving by going Josh Allen and the top quarterback, even though, that equates to, if you're one keeper in each, that equates to a 4th round pick. You're getting him at the back end of the 3rd, back end of the 4th. That's good value on Josh Allen, and you get your first round pick. So I agree.
Yep. I always got to take those first. I was looking down at my phone to see who might be available. I mean, it's probably going to be a long shot for someone like, T. Higgins. He might get kept probably, but maybe someone like T. Higgins, George Kittle at the end of the 1st in a keeper league. I mean, I'd rather do that.
It depends how many keepers. Depends how many keepers, right? If you're only keeping one guy, because it seems like this, he's got somebody else locked in, then you're talking about guys like maybe Drake London is there.
And the second round guys. Yeah, I'd much rather those guys than Henry in the 1st.
Yep. Agree. Yep. And the majority says Allen. And I think that's why. It's not just the value of Allen. It's the fact that you get to pick again at the 110. Absolutely. Let us know when you find out, Kyle, because we will be interested to see. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Kyle, Jamie, JJ, and the rest. We appreciate you joining us here on Adjust the Ranks. We appreciate Ryan joining us on Adjust the Ranks for an 18-team, which is standard Guillotine League mock draft. It'll give you a sense of what to do if you find yourself in this situation. Take these tips and comments and go apply them. And just as we mentioned at the top, just play interesting fantasy leagues, whether you're a vampire, whether you're doing, what's the other one that we had here that we referenced?
The Infinity Stones one?
Yeah, the Infinity Stones, or there's a zombie league as well. So all these leagues are varied and interesting and different. And actually, this is an extreme interest of mine, because I would love to one day start a platform where you just play all of these odd little games and you have the opportunity to make those kind of standards. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you for the feedback, Kyle. We appreciate you and everybody else for joining us. So for Ryan, I am Jeremy. Thank you very much, and we will see you next time.
Just don't let me catch you with an animal in here, that's all.
All right. Take care now. Bye-bye then.